discussing Sergey Levine's blog post, the LLMs live in Plato's cave. Links in the show notes. I think it's it's typical Sergey manner. It's creative, inspiring, and actually to the point. So he's a researcher at Berkeley. He works with robots and reinforcement learning, and he worries about world models, I think, because there's a feeling in the robotics community that world models are a way forward or a tool for robots to learn, to act, and then you have to somehow translate that, of course, in the real world. But the point in the essay is that the question, why are large language models so good at interpreting the world, actually better than video or image models? In other words, if you take a picture of Mount Everest and a picture of Mount Tam, and you ask a model based on the picture how much rock there is or something like that, it might have, but we don't have models that can actually solve that problem. But if you ask a large language model, Mount Tam versus Mount Everest, who has more rocks, the large language model will do really well. So how come that a model that is text-based, that has no 3D understanding, that compresses everything to one-dimensional text and next token prediction, actually is much better at visual clues and sounds and all that stuff? And what Sergey argues in this essay is that it's because the large language models live in Plato's cave, and the light that shines is the internet. Because what large language models actually were able to do is compress the cognitive abilities of humans through reading what humans have compressed into the internet. Anything that is learned in a large language model is, typically it's text, or even if it's images, but let's just stick with text for a second. All the text that was scrapped from the internet has been typed in by humans. So it's a compression of their cognitive abilities or their cognitive processes. And text is a blog post. What is a blog post? It's a compression of a thought. And large language models have learned that. So that they're very good at mimicking human cognitive abilities. Now, what Sergey says is that's pretty good and we can live with that, but what we need is a system that can learn and adapt in the real world on its own. So that's Sutton's oak architecture. That is what Sutton has been talking about this year. And I think Sergey is, he's the one who actually pointed me to Sutton. So I think he has this, love-hate relationship maybe with Sutton, or maybe just love. I don't know the details there. But the point is, he's talking about a robot, like a Robinson Crusoe robot, a robot that can actually figure out its own problems and solve its own problems. And that's the path that we should be on if we really want, or what we call AGI, a word I really don't like, but let's call it an intelligence that can absolutely get us to spheres that we haven't seen before, because that's our intelligence. And if we can replicate our intelligence into silicon and then scale it up, that could be very interesting. So the ability to adapt and learn from the real world is a big plus. Now, world models could be a path towards that, but then we have to have reality-grounded world models. And there's an essay I'm just reading about this. I'm going to talk about this in the next episode. Thank you.